Alright guys, we're back for another Dokkan battle video, and I'm surprised to see that this post by Mobile Man is 14 days ago, which is 2 weeks. So this is going to be a very interesting video and a very interesting post made by Mobile Man over on the Dokkan subreddit. So Mobile Man frequently for a long time has done the hardest hitting units in Dokkan list. Well, now Mobile Man decided to go ahead and do the top 10 tanks of Dokkan, which I think is a very good idea, and it's going to be a very fascinating sort of look here. Now, I got to start this off by saying I love Mobile Man, I fuck with Mobile Man heavy, but I do strongly disagree with a couple of the placements he's got here, in his list of the top 10. That's just based on my experience of, using basically all of these units in Super Battle Road, normal events, etc. I do want to kind of briefly go through Mobile Man's, basically the way he determined their tanking ability, right? Because I do think that's important, especially for one unit of note. So let's go ahead and look at this. So Mobile Man basically, concludes there's 3 primary mechanics the units on this list use to reduce incoming damage: a high defensive stat, percentage-based damage reduction, and a dodge chance. Also, he does mention here, it's not a list of overall defensive utility, so we're not really looking at healing, stunning, sealing, things of those nature. Although, I suppose, that would be kind of like a different list of its own, right? Okay, so, and this list only shows the top 10 TUR tanks in the game. Future update to the series, I'll create a separate list to show the top LR tanks in the game. I wonder, would one of the LRs crack this list? Maybe like LR Vegito and Gogeta, their defense is just so high? Off the top of my head, I can't think of one, but I'm sure one would crack the list. Alright, so in order to determine how well a unit can tank in a wide variety of situations, I created a hypothetical scenario where each unit would have to endure 100 attacks being launched at it. And then he kind of, created this simulation where it's basically sort of emulating a Dokkan event, right? So, testing has shown 85% of attacks launched at Dokkan Fest bosses are normal attacks, and 15% are super attacks. So then he kind of does this, phase. He gives each boss a little bit more attack, kind of how normal Dokkan events work. Now, we go through 5 phases of this battle, which does make sense. Each phase is given the same amount of weight, meaning unit can endure 17 attacks from each individual phase for a total of 85 normal attacks, and then the 15 super attacks. So, basically, this list is going to be how well each unit defends in that scenario right there. I think that's basically what we had to look at, and now we can go ahead and jump into the list. So, the first unit Mobile Man has, actually, it's going to be at the bottom. Oh, no, okay, I did reset, okay. For a second, I thought it was going to be at the bottom. I was like, oh, no, spoilers, but okay. Number 10 is Future Gohan. This seems about right to me. Future Gohan, let's go ahead and take a look at him. So, he raises his defense by up to 100%. The less HP remaining, the greater the boost. Usually I've found that on both Hybrid Saiyan and Future, the teams are pretty good at staying at high health, right? Future team, because it's got LR Goku Black and, Rose, Vegito Blue, units of that nature. And then the Hybrid Saiyan team just has a lot of very powerful LRs on it as well. So these teams do tend to not really take a lot of damage. So I feel like Gohan's defense won't be as high as it could be. If it was instead the more HP you had left, the higher Gohan's defense would be. I feel like he would be better overall, as a unit and as a tank. Now, the big thing with him is he increases his damage reduction by 10% at the start of each turn, and then, after 5 turns, he'll reach his max of 50%. So, the very first turn he shows up, he'll reduce damage by 10%, and then each turn after that he shows up, it's an additional 10%, up to a max of 50%. Now, if it was common to get to that 50%, this Gohan would be very, very good defensively, but I've found it's not very often. And here's the thing. This Gohan is not good enough offensively to really merit a spot on the main rotation also. There's way better units to use than this Future Gohan. Future Gohan is very, very underwhelming. He also does raise his defense on Super, by the way. That's important too. So, Mobile Man... Oh, whoops, that's wrong. Mobile Man says, yep, he's got the stacking damage reduction. Low on this list, but he has the highest tanking potential in the game when his passive is maxed out. I feel like I disagree with that. Yeah, I do. I almost would like to speak to Mobile Man to kind of determine how this list was made, because I don't see how... Okay, you know what it is? Here's why. Because this list, again, was also established with Mobile Man giving it the same kind of rules as the hardest hitting units list, where each unit is kind of graded as a free dupe level unit, right? So they all have 55% in the dupe system, and then they'll just have their free ability, right? Because I'm thinking, there's no way Gohan is going to tank better than the Int Hercule, who just recently came out. Even if both are at 100%, or Gohan has his full passive built up, there's no way. Hercule is going to be much better at reducing damage with his dodge chance, and of course also with his damage reduction. Future's team is considered to have an average of 70% HP, which gives Future Gohan an average defensive buff of 30%. I mean, I guess that does sound about right. Alright, average damage reduction, 20%. Okay. So, next we have on this list Perfect Cell. This does make sense to me. Perfect Cell routinely is able to tank in Super Battle Road. So, Cell is a strong tank. You do have to get him a lot of orbs, though. The reason for this is Cell has a ridiculously high defensive stat of 14,443. Insanely high. And then he gets 15% defense for every orb obtained. So it's pretty easy for his defense to really max out. Yeah, on the Revived Warrior team, too, which is what I, usually when I'm using Cell in Super Battle Road, it's on that team. Big Bad Bosses is considered to have a 40% uptime for Cell, based on an 80% activation rate for the Link. Link being accessible only on half of Perfect Cell's turns. That sounds about right. Cell is considered to have the standard 6.5 orbs that is given to nukers. Okay, I feel like usually that's maybe a little higher than normally I feel like Cell or those type of units would get. But, sure, that does make sense to me. So next we have Android 18. I feel like Cell probably should be higher than her, but 17 does have this base defense 70%, right? And then she gets an additional 7% defense per key orb obtained. I have noticed that, of course, 18 is very good at reducing damage. See, I suppose one thing with me and, this list is that I would prioritize putting all the orbs into Cell, right? So more often times than not, I would see Cell tank better than 18, because Cell hits harder than 18, so I would give him more of the orbs than I'll give 18, right? I'm sure that does kind of factor into my sort of viewing of this list. This also is 18 on the Universe 7 team I'm seeing, so she's got that 177% defense. Android 18 has the honor of having the highest defensive stat on this list, or honor. I guess that makes sense. Oh, wow, yeah, she is above 10k. That is very good for a non-Dokkan Fest or LR. Jeez, girl, okay. Her incredibly high defensive stat not only comes from a combination of her start of turn defensive buff, nuking-based defensive buff, and an SA-based defensive buff. Oh, that is right. I did overlook that. She does raise her defense by 30% for 6 turns. Yeah, so her defense does get ridiculously high. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then due to her orb-changing ability, 18 is considered to get an average of 7.5 orbs. Yes, because 18 also does change orbs like that, especially, a lot of times I've ended up using her, I feel as though Kefla has been around. So Kefla has, there's just always been a influx of orbs available for 18 to get. All right, now this one, I don't get this, right? So we've got Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta here at number 7. I would have presumed Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta would be 2 on this list. 7 is very high. So Vegeta reduces damage received by 80% for 7 turns. And he has 10,000 defense at rainbow level because he has an S rank potential system. So I don't really see how Vegeta is 7th here. I just don't get it. So Vegeta's passive is considered to have 80% uptime. That sounds about right, but I can't really think of situations where his passive did not activate, right? I just feel like his passive is always active. Like the 7 turns, that's about how long like the longest Dokkan Fest will take nowadays, I feel like. I mean, unless you have like maybe a really team with not a lot of dupes or something going against like the Ultra Instinct Goku boss fight. But 7 turns is about how long fights last. When his passive is active, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta takes almost no damage. Yeah, I don't, again, I don't understand how Vegeta's 7 here. And he's on Pure Saiyans with a 170% defensive buff. If it was me, like, Mobile Man is doing this based on, like, kind of like the simulation he made and determining units' defensive ability that way. Just off of me, like, going through events and using these units, again, I would probably have Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta as the number 2 unit on this list because he does not take damage at all. Actually, okay, I just thought of something. We're going to look at one more unit after we get done looking at this list, too. But yeah, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, he completely tanks. Maybe it's because I'm more thinking of, like, Super Battle Road when going through this list, because if we're talking about units that can defend, like, the number one place you need defense more than offense, I would say, is Super Battle Road. Like, in Dokkan events, you could crush them with pure offensive fire. Like, it's like Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho when he's like, just pure power to just crush anything in your way. Like, that's what you could do to Dokkan events. But, like, Super Battle Road doesn't really work that way. So, Alright, so next we're looking at the Transforming Goku. Now, I have found that he is a pretty solid tank, but above Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, I don't see that. So, this Goku, alright, he starts out with 80% defense, and he reduces damage received by 21%. So, slowly as he transforms, he loses a bit of defense and gains a bit of damage reduction until finally, once he hits Blue Goku, he doesn't raise his defense anymore, and he has a 25% damage reduction. So, I've found that he does reduce damage well, but above some of the other units on this list, maybe not so much. So let's see what Movement says here. Interestingly, Transforming Goku's defensive stat remains almost identical throughout the fight, even though his passive's defensive buff decreases with each transformation. Yeah, so that would be based on the fact that he raises his attack and defense per super attack, I presume. The reason for that is his permanent SA-based defensive buff. Okay. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I'm with it. Okay, so now we move on to Super Saiyan 3 Trunks. This is another interesting one to me because I have used Super Saiyan 3 Trunks in Super Battle Road, and he's gotten absolutely eviscerated. Like, this Transforming Goku can defend sort of well. This Vegeta, like, completely tanks nothing. I only used this 18, I believe, in the Pepe Gal stage, which is easy anyway. And Cell tanks beautifully in category Super Battle Road as well. But Trunks here gets his shit pushed in unbelievably. He gets blasted on Super Battle Road. So I do think that's important to sort of important to mention here. But Trunks is a pretty good defensive unit. Defense 60%. He has a high chance to guard against all attacks. So of course, the high chance to guard against all attacks is a very good defensive ability that basically cuts damage in half by what, like 50%? Hold on, let me see what movement numbers are here. So Super Saiyan 3 Trunks has a 50% chance to block against all attacks. Blocking an attack is equivalent to a 55% reduction in damage. Thus, his average damage reduction is 27.5% attack. Okay. That's cool, but I still, again, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta can definitely tank unbelievably better than this Super Saiyan 3 Trunks. So we'll keep moving on. Next, we have Android 16 here. Now, this one, yeah, Android 16 is a beast. His defense gets so high, Plus, he has that chance to guard, that this one does make a lot more sense to me, because he greatly raises defense on super attack. He has 80% defense from his passive, then an additional 30% defense from android category units, up to 90%. So he gets sacked that 3 times, and then he has a high chance to guard all attacks, just like Super Saiyan 3 Trunks. Now, remember, 16 himself counts as an android category unit, so 16 really is always going to have at least 110% defense, which is huge. The greatly raised defense is 50%, so his defensive stat is always going to be wild. He's right about at 10k, so he does have good defense as well. So he's got the 50% chance to blocking an attack, equivalent to the 55% damage reduction. He has access to a larger defensive buff from the Revived Warrior Leader skill. Android 16 tanks the best on the Android team due to the fact that he can max out his passive's defensive buff there. Makes sense to me. I do agree. I have found when I've used this guy on Super Battle Road on the Revived Warrior team, 16 is able to pretty much completely tank most of the time. Like, his defense gets so high that he is a very good tank on Super Battle Road. So I'm a big fan of that 16. Definitely makes sense that he's high up on this list. So next we have SCR Super Janemba. I feel like he's in probably about the right spot. So SCR Janemba, he does not get any sort of defensive buff, which is important here. He does guard against all attacks, and then he has a medium chance, which Mobile Man pegs as a 30% chance right here, to dodge against all enemy attacks. Defensive stat is, again, about 10,000. Okay, so that's pretty good. So, again, it's just Janemba blocks all incoming attacks, 55% reduction. Now, we have Int Janemba as number 2. I guess I can see it. And as Mobile Man says, it's because he's able to tank ever so slightly better than SCR counterpart due to his minor defensive buff and the 5% chance to dodge that he gains from his int typing. So basically, let's compare SCR Janemba's defense, just under 10k, to Int Janemba, which is at 11k, very, very high, because Janemba has the S-rank potential system. He also has that plus 5,000 to defense, which this Janemba does not have. But here's the thing. I've found that SCR Janemba is definitely a better tank, especially in Super Battle Road. Now, this might be just specifically because my SCR Janemba, I've given him max dodging, but I have not found that Int Janemba is able to, avoid enough attacks as Janemba. Like the 30% dodging plus giving him 15 dodge makes this Janemba a very, very valuable and consistent defensive unit, where I've sort of found that Int Janemba is not really able to usually reduce as much damage. Now, again, another thing I do want to point out is a lot of the sort of basis I'm making for how well a lot of these units are tanking is, of course, I'm factoring in Super Battle Road, because that's, again, the place where defense is very, very important. So, all right, let's go ahead now and take a look at number 1. Now, number 1 should be fairly obvious to virtually everyone. It's the Int Hercule right here, who is the best defensive unit in the game. Number 1 on the list because he has a high chance to evade enemies' attack, 50% chance to dodge. Then he reduces damage by 50%, up to 90% the less HP you've got. So this Hercule is just always going to be bobbing and weaving, dodging left and right, not taking damage. He's just an all-around exceptional unit. Busaga team assumed to have an average of 70% HP, which gives Hercule an average of 65% damage reduction. And then he also has a 50% dodge rate from his passive, when combined with his innate 5% dodge rate due to his int typing. He has a total dodge rate of 52.5%. So, if we look at this damage taken right here, Hercule is under 100k, and then, Int Janemba is basically at 300, SCR Janemba at 300, 16 at right around 300, then Trunks 500k, this Goku 500k, this Vegeta, again, I feel like Vegeta should be too. The other thing, too, I'm guessing the reason this unit is not on this list is because his passive does not activate when he's below 50% HP, but this Golden Frieza reduces damage by 90% when HP is 50% or above, which is very, very good, obviously. But again, I guess just because of the fact that it's only when HP is 50% or above. That makes him not fall on this list. I don't think this is a bad list. I just gotta know why Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is so high up, because really, in any given situation, he's completely tanking everything. And most fights, Super Battle Royale fights do not go longer than 7 turns. Most Dokkan events don't either. So Vegeta really shouldn't be taking any damage at all. I gotta imagine he has to be way up here. The other interesting thing too is Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is about to get an Extreme Z Awakening, so he's going to be even better defensively when his defensive stat goes up an extra, 2,000 to 3,000 points. So this Vegeta will be even better defensively in the future. Overall, still a very fun list. I always do enjoy looking at things like this, and of course Mobile Man, is very good with the numbers and stuff, but there are a few units, just from my own self playing, I feel like some of these units have to be switched around, right? Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta should be way higher, and this Trunks, he's nice, but his defense is just not, it's not high enough. It's not as high as Android 16 gets right here. But, alright guys, so let me know what y'all thought in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Oh, and of course, huge shout-outs to Mobile Man and the whole Dokkan subreddit. Bunch of cool cats over there, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Later.